is naturally built. Because I've tried something, it worked. Okay, that means I got to try something else because I know it's going to work. Right? Being mindful of what it is that we tell ourselves about the things that we're seeking to do has a direct connection to achieving the things that we want to do. Again, doesn't mean that things aren't going to go wrong. Doesn't mean that we're going to, not experience challenges and obstacles. But if we operate with a mindset that says when it works and what if it works, then again, only positive things can come out of that. Another big one, again, when we're thinking about making those bold beginnings and being mindful of the things that can stop us from living that audacious life, is this concept of perfectionism, right? Again, guilty as charged as someone who very early on in her career, and I would say not even so much just in my career, but also in my personal life, always wanted to exemplify this idea of perfectionism, right? That I had everything together, that my house was clean, my kids were well, my husband was, thriving, my marriage was perfect, like all of these things, right? And yes, things in my life are great, but does perfection exist? No. Because I'm going to tell you this is not scientifically proven. I am convinced that anyone who operates from this perfectionist perspective isn't operating in high level of denial. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect, right? I'm not perfect. I am sitting here before all of you, again, sharing, but behind the scenes, life is not perfect. I've left my children at home. Lord only knows what is happening while I'm not there, right? But that's also life, right? Perfectionism doesn't exist. And again, if we're looking to live with audacity doesn't mean that we're showing up fully put together 365 days, 24/7. Living with audacity means that we are operating with a mindset that we will achieve, that great things are going to happen for us, and that we are going to operate from a place of strength, of resilience, of pushing ourselves through those difficult times, right? But perfectionism, again, if you're watching this podcast and you're operating in a space of perfectionism, emancipate yourself from that stress, because nothing in life is perfect. To live with audacity means that you are prepared to be bold, unapologetic, authentic through all things, with an understanding that things could shift, that things could change, that moments will be difficult, right? But that again, we're operating from a place of, I'm going to make up a word, thrivation. I know it's not a word, but I like that word, thrivation versus just surviving, right? And now I want to talk about a bit of the audacious mindset. As I said, last episode, I talked about how a limited mindset can really prevent us from stepping into our bold self, right? When we tell ourselves negative things, when we share or not share, when we think about all the limited beliefs that we have about ourselves, it keeps us stuck. The audacious mindset is the opposite, right? Now, it isn't one of over assuming that we're perfect or over assuming that we've got everything under control. But an audacious mindset definitely says, you know what? I can do this. Like, I got this, right? I know things are going to be difficult. I'm sure I'm going to, encounter a roadblock. But the audacious mindset dictates that because I desire something, I'm going to achieve it. Again, doesn't mean that you're out here bulldozing people, causing harm, but it means that I am operating with a belief that the things that I seek for myself, the way in which I want to show up, the things that I want to achieve will happen. That's the audacious mindset, right? It is one of confidence. It is one of assertiveness. It is one of comfort in self. It is one of confirmation and affirmation in who you are, right? But that work needs to be done. Right? Again, kind of from that last episode about being mindful around how a limited mindset can prevent us is a bit of that roadblock before we hit that audacious mindset, right? That idea that, if we don't show up out the gate, incredible, that we're not audacious. Nope, that's not true, right? It means that we are continuing to elevate, that every time you see me, I am a notch better than the last time that you encountered me, right? That's what it means to live with audacity. That's what it means to be bold, right? That again, I'm unwilling to allow systems, structures to prevent me from thriving, from doing, right? From achieving, from succeeding, That's really what it means to have that audacious mindset. It also talks about the idea, or I also want to talk about like that idea again of failure as a setback. Listen, failure, I'm going to look deep into the camera because I'm going to look deep into your eyes. Failure is your opportunity to course correct. Failure is your opportunity to really determine if, in fact, again, I said this before, that the path that you're taking is what you want to do versus what you thought you had to do. Failure is your opportunity to pause, to pivot, and reevaluate, right? Failure, in fact, is a gift. So don't fear failure. The audacious mindset takes those negative mindsets, those things that we're supposed to fear, as opportunities for growth, as opportunities for change, as opportunities to do something different that is in alignment with what we know to be true, right? That's the audacious mindset. That's what it means to live with audacity. Again, it isn't to avoid hardship or challenges. It means to confront it and pivot and reframe its understanding so that it serves us and isn't an adherence or an obstacle or an obstruction, right? The power of the mind, the things that we say out loud. Listen, I said it before, language has power. Our mindset has power. We have no control over systems and structures that are already set in place, but we absolutely have control how we allow those systems and structures, how we allow people to shift our belief about ourselves. Again, it doesn't mean that you need to be conceited, that you need to think you're better than, absolutely not. But what it absolutely does mean is that you are affirmed in who you are, so that when people try to tell you who they believe you to be, sure, you can receive it. Doesn't mean that you have to believe it, right? Because you know yourself to such a degree that, again, you're unruffled and unbothered. So again, in this journey of living with audacity, right, one of the things that I've really had to work hard at, and it's still a work in progress, I am by no means saying, again, that I have worked it all out, but it really is how to embrace uncertainty and to take action, right? So I don't know if you know this, but Audaci-T, if you've seen the title of the podcast, it's T-E-A, right? Not T-Y. And it's done with intention because T-E-A stands for taking empowered action. Everything that I do is done with intention, right? I'm taking empowered action in seeking to live with audacity. But what does that mean, right? How do I embrace uncertainty, recognizing that uncertainty exists? And how do I continue to take empowered action so that I'm countering, again, this natural pit in my stomach that's like, you're not ready, Aisha. Or like you're really putting yourself out there, right? You're really maybe not doing the most, but right? What does that look like? So a lot of people, again, will say, Aisha, and I used to say it, I'm so afraid to fail. Like the idea of failure is overwhelming. And the thing is, it is. Like, I am by no means trying to say that, like, again, if I fail, I'm like, it's fine, I failed, and I'm going to, no, right? I don't want to fail. I work hard at not failing, but I also recognize that it's a part of life, right? But again, what if, and this is, again, I have incredible people in my life who, even as a coach, even as someone who does this work, right? Coaches need coaches too, right? And I had a coach who said to me, Aisha, what if you reframe this idea of I'm afraid to fail to I'm excited to learn, right? Just that small shift in what she said changed how I thought about failure and supported what it meant to live with audacity, right? I want to say it again. What if you shifted I'm afraid to fail to I am excited to learn? Because the thing is, when things are great, we learn. But somehow we've decided that when we fail, we aren't learning anything. That's actually not true. There's probably more to learn about the self in failure than there is in achieving. Because in achieving, it means that we've hit it, right? Whatever decision we made, whatever analysis, planning we've done, we hit it. But when we fail, it means that maybe we made a misstep. Maybe we overplanned or didn't make the right decision, right? But what did we learn? Such an opportunity to learn, right? And again, getting comfortable in a place of discomfort. So as I always say, change does not happen in the comfort zone, right? We sometimes will make these incremental changes hoping for big outcomes and then wonder why things aren't moving the way that we want to. Again, I'm not saying jump both feet in blindly and don't know what's happening and don't know what's doing, but be comfortable in the discomfort, because the discomfort is also the opportunity to course correct. Discomfort is the opportunity to really hone in on our inner strengths, on our thoughts, on the things that we thought we didn't know, on the tools that we thought we didn't have. That discomfort, think about times in your life where you have found yourself in a predicament, right? How did you get out of it? You got out of it because you were required to dig deep into your toolkit to think about, how am I going to get out of this? Because like, this can't be it. Or like, I actually need to get out. Whether that was related to like your actual safety or making a really important decision about whether something was going to go this way or that way, that didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of an existing tool that you had based on the work that you've done. But sometimes it is only in that space of discomfort, in that hardship, in that challenge where we dig deep, right? Again, when things are going great, we stay status quo. When things are going hard, when things are difficult, yeah, we get to dig into that toolkit, into that toolbox, into those existing resources and think, all right, I'm coming out of this and I'm coming out better. Right? So don't see failure as, again, something to be afraid of. It is an opportunity to learn. Don't allow that discomfort to actually create more fear. Allow that discomfort to let you dig deep into the things that already exist within you, right? I've had times where I'm like, oh, well, this turned out even better than I thought, right? But I haven't given myself grace and acknowledgement that I always had the answer. But I needed a little bit of that discomfort to allow me to step into a space where I had to dig a lot deeper than the surface in order to resolve the issue, right? Again, this is what living with audacity is. There is no secret sauce, right? People will say to me like, Aisha, I don't understand. I don't understand how you are operating full throttle, working full time, running a business, having 3 kids, doing all the things. Honestly, I am no different than anybody who's watching this podcast. The only perhaps difference is that I'm intentional about the things that I do. I have very clear boundaries. I'm very comfortable with the word no, to the point that like when my kids ask me a question, they're like, we know your answer is no. I like to sometimes kinder surprise them and tell them yes. But I say that to say the only difference, and this has been only through work. Again, this is not just Aisha became this, not at all. The only difference I think where I'm at right now in relation to living with audacity is that, again, I am living boldly. I am confirmed in who I am. I am unbothered and unruffled by system structures, people's narrative. I don't operate with a limited mindset. I don't operate with, fear of failing. But it has come, like, again, this place has come from being on the opposite side, of avoiding, of loving to sit in my comfort zone, of staying status quo because I thought that was where I needed to be, right? So believe me, if you're watching this podcast and you're thinking to yourself, can I get to this place? Yeah. And likely you're already there. You just need to make those small tweaks to the mindset. What are you telling yourself? Being maybe a little bit more stringent with your boundaries, realizing where you may be giving more than what you're receiving, making sure that you're putting yourself at the top of your list. Like all of these things, right, are part of living that audacious life. There is no one lane about what it means to live with audacity, right? And I think the last thing, that I want to share with you around taking those bold steps is that it just takes one step. Literally just one step. It doesn't require a year plan. It doesn't require, a long laundry list of to-dos. It literally is just one step. And the one step could be, I am committing to taking one step. It might actually be something else, but I need to emphasize that we spend so much of our time trying to select the perfect one step. Just take the step, whatever that is. Have faith that first step that you take is in alignment with whatever the next step is. And if it isn't, again, what did you learn? Where do you get to pivot? Where do you get to add the lesson learned into your toolkit that when you find yourself back in this predicament, you're like, nope, seen that, been there, done that. This is what I'm implementing this time, right? Just that one step. It really is about that bold beginning. And again, don't be fooled by the word bold. Bold means, again, the commitment to taking a step. That's what it means to live with audacity. That you are just always willing to grow. You're always willing to try. You're always willing to experience. You're always willing to, to fail, but you're always willing to, come back up, step back up, learn, evolve, grow, and keep going. That is the ultimate, right? Think about the things that you've achieved to date. They didn't happen by accident. They happened because you took one bold step. That you made a decision to no longer stay status quo, that you made a decision to believe in yourself, to have faith in yourself, to resist the temptation to stay in that beautiful box of comfort and just do. So if I leave anything with you today, with this episode, is let your beginning just be one step. Allow yourself to experience the things that come out of, again, just that one bold beginning. And you'd be surprised what is achieved. You'd be surprised what you experience, what you learn, and how you add, again, to this greatness that is you, right? Live with audacity. Understand that this is a journey. It is not linear. It is probably pretty messy. But what comes out of it, what you get to see when you've achieved whatever it is that you desire to achieve, believe me, you will never find yourself back into a space. Let me take that back. You might, because life happens. But it is, you will find yourself easier out of that space of doubt when you, again, start to understand and shift this mindset around, again, things related to failure, perfectionism, analysis by paralysis. Just take that one bold step and be open to what it is that you're going to unpack, what you're going to discover, what you're going to learn, what you're going to do, what you're going to achieve. Again, I do not know if I would be sitting before you today doing this podcast, doing any of the things, the workshops, the coaching, if I didn't take that one bold action step, which was just, I'm no longer willing to allow people to tell me where and how I should be. That was my bold step, that I was going to take control of my own narrative, that I wasn't going to allow systems and structures to dictate where my value and worth was, that I was going to take control of that. And from there, I'm still evolving, I'm still growing, but I am absolutely living with audacity. And so I want to thank you for joining me. I cannot wait for the next episode. If you have, as I said, topics that you want me to talk about, listen, your girl's here to talk about all things related to boldness and unapologeticness and authenticity. And if there's something that you want me to talk about, if you have a question, you know where to find me, either at Instagram at metomar.health. You can send me an email at aisha@metomar.com. Just track me down. Track me down, ask me a question. I am anyone's hype person. If you need a little reminder about why you're great, just hit me up. All right. Thanks for joining me on Living with Audacity, and I will see you on another episode.